What's up everyone, welcome back to ARTV. My name is John and it's time for another episode of 7 on Sunday. Today we're looking at cover songs that have a twist. It's a personal pet peeve of mine when someone covers a band or an artist's song and they just play it note for note. It's not even really a cover, it's just you basically playing an instrumental karaoke and adding your vocal style instead of the original, and sometimes that doesn't even feel unique. But what about cover songs that feel nothing like the original? I can acknowledge that maybe some of the chord progression, some of the song structure remains intact. Of course, it's kind of inevitable unless you're really going out on a limb, and some of these tracks that are on the list do, but I just wanted to put it out there. If you want to be really picky, of course, some of the chord progressions remain the same. It's just that I feel that the overall message, the feeling that lingers with you of the song is so drastically different that it's indeed nothing like the original. After you watch the video, feel free to comment away down below with any songs that I might not have selected for whatever reason. If you want to see a part 2 in the future, then hit that like button to show your interest, and subscribe for the love of music if you haven't already.
You can do anything you want to do if you have goals.
First up on the list today, we have ROKY ERICKSON, a singer-songwriter that had multiple backing bands hailing from Texas, mainly popular in the late 60s through the early 1980s, and then the Swedish metal band Ghost. This is from their EP, If You Have Ghost, obviously a play on the word, If You Have Ghosts, which was the original song. ROKY ERICKSON wrote this track in the 1970s. He had struggled with mental illness. In fact, he was diagnosed with schizophrenia. And I think that the original song kind of showed this lust for life, a passion to want to be alive. And I was turned on to the original after hearing the Ghost cover. And I really feel that both versions have a lot to offer. He kind of had a country twang in his voice, and it was more peppy and enthusiastic overall, basically saying if you have ghosts, which refers to your spirit, then you have the ability to push on. Now in the Ghost version, you can see that the band kind of turned it over, saying, yes, this feels anthemic, but they also added the heavier guitars, Papa Emeritus on the vocals, definitely sounding courageous, but also a little bit sinister in a way. It's like he's calling out to a cult of people, and I love the fact that, yes, it does make the song heavier, but it also gives it new meaning. Dave Grohl produced this entire EP, If You Have Ghost, and I can definitely see maybe some of his stylistic choices bleeding through.
Looking at my lump lump, you can look but you can't touch it. If you touch it, I'ma start some drama, and you don't want no drama.
You can't help but laugh at this one. The Black Eyed Peas versus ALANIS Morissette, and a cover and a striking new rendition of the classic song, My Humps. What a lovely, sensual, thoughtful, I'm full of shit, I can't even say it. Obviously the song is stupid, it's overtly sexual, and it really has no meaning or allure to it other than, oh, wow, look at my hump, my hump, my hump. ALANIS made a total troll move when she turned to the original track that was definitely more hip-hop oriented, mixing in synthesizers, everything like that, and turned it into this very serious song, which I love because it was a total mockery of and middle finger to top 40 and current pop music. It was drastically different from the tides that had been swept in when she was so popular with her album Jagged Little Pill. And obviously the Black Eyed Peas and Monkey Business, I don't think anyone's looking back and saying, wow, what a classic we have right there. I could be wrong, there's definitely some idiots in the world, so maybe somebody does think that. But ALANIS Morissette on this cover actually nailed something, and I love that she sings it so sincerely. It's almost convicting to the point where you're like, is this song about ass, or should I be reflecting inwards about myself? To put a cherry on the top of this already hilarious situation, Fergie was apparently a good sport about this, sending over a butt-shaped cake to ALANIS Morissette and saying, ALANIS, you're a genius. Number 5 is a battle of the British bands on a cover of the song Believe by Mumford & Sons. Nothing But Thieves put their spin on it, and I didn't discover this until about a year ago, but when I heard this, my mind just lit up. What an enthusiastic rendition, just an electrifying performance. Connor Mason is such an incredible vocalist, and not to knock the original song off of Wilder Mind by Mumford & Sons, I just feel that Believe gets very old and stale quickly, and I feel that Connor Mason and the rest of Nothing But Thieves took this track and they breathed quite literally new life into it. This is a song that stalled out. It definitely has its moments in the original version that is slower paced, but here they're adding in these thundering drums, the guitars are really driving, and more importantly, the vocals from Connor send shivers down my spine. This is one of those cover songs that takes it completely, flips the coin over. You called heads, they're like tails, and they put it out there, and their spin is just so refreshing to see. Battling it out next, we have two different songs that definitely don't sound alike in the form of Ennio Morricone, an Italian film composer. He's done so many scores for not only film but also television, and then the heavy metal band Metallica. It might not sound like they have much in common, but actually this cover song that they did, The Ecstasy of Gold, originally from the movie that came out in the 1960s, the spaghetti western film, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Metallica have actually used the original version of The Ecstasy of Gold as their walkout song since the 1980s. They're still doing it to this day. They don't play anything over it, they just respect the original version and it gets people amped for the concert. I discovered The Ecstasy of Gold in 2007 because a tribute album, We Love Ennio Morricone, was released. I saw Metallica's cover version and it blew my mind at the time. I was over here, a 15-year-old kid, just rocking the hell out with these racing guitars. I loved the mysterious theme that just kind of let it in, and then I found out, oh, I've actually heard this before because I've seen The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. So much respect goes out to Ennio Morricone for actually making this in the first place, and I don't know a ton about film and film composing, everything like that. That is not my area of expertise, but I really appreciate this track in particular. In fact, it's become one of the most popular and recognizable film themes of all time. And then Metallica's version of The Ecstasy of Gold sees them adding in these furious guitars. Obviously, it's Metallica and we've got James Hetfield delivering some of the hey, hey. It's one of those covers that just makes you want to throw up the rock horns and headbang a little bit because obviously, again, it's Metallica covering this film score. And I don't know how they pulled it off so well, but the second half of this song in particular just goes off the rails crazy in a good way. I don't think my list would be complete without this cover that totally turned things over, but we've got EURYTHMICS, a British band that were actually active namely in the 1980s, featuring new wave styled music, a little bit of alternative and pop sprinkled in the mix, and then Marilyn Manson, adding a very gothic and dark take to the original song, Sweet Dreams Are Made of This. The original song is so incredibly famous at this point, but Manson's cover has also achieved fame. This was released on one of his greatest hits albums, and honestly, the first time I heard it, I felt it was so dark and just so different, I didn't even recognize right away that it was the same song. You've probably heard Sweet Dreams Are Made of This, the original version by EURYTHMICS, whether you know it or not. It's been used in so many different films, television series, in the background, shopping at the mall, wherever you are, you've probably heard this track. But Manson's cover just adds this dreary, slow, dark, brooding take. You can feel the guitars just kind of winding up. Manson's vocals are intentionally almost kind of growled out at the start, and then it roars to life in places. It's just like flames occasionally shoot out, but it also doesn't feel the need to go over the top all the time. It's one of those covers that just does it justice because it's so unique that it becomes its own song. I love it when things completely unintentionally work out like this, but the band Tool just released their first album in 13 years, Fear Inoculum, and Maynard James Keenan is the lead vocalist of Tool. He's also the lead vocalist of A Perfect Circle, and it just so happened that I was making this list of 7 on Sunday this week for cover songs that sound nothing like the original. So with Maynard being in A Perfect Circle, they released an album called Emotive in 2004, which saw them taking on some unique renditions, cover songs that definitely are not like the original. You could call them a reimagining, I suppose. The cover that I selected was one of the singles. It was originally by John Lennon of the Beatles fame, of course, his track Imagine. Imagine was a hopeful song, something that I've always associated with just everybody coming together, and maybe we could live as one. Maybe we could push the common man forward for the good of everybody, for the good of humankind. And then a perfect circle come in and make this sound like some post-apocalyptic shit. I mean, I feel like the world is on fire as I listen to this cover. There's symphonics creeping into the background and you're just scared almost. It's like, is the world falling apart? And actually, it kind of is right now. I mean, the Amazon rainforest is on fire, and I'm going to leave a link in the description down below if you would like to help support that, because that is a cause that is so incredibly important, yet nobody really seems to care enough, at least. As lines like "imagine no possessions" come out, it hits home a little bit too real, because not us, probably not our generations, but maybe our children's children are going to start suffering the consequences. And I don't mean to start giving you a speech or lecturing you, but this song really does give off vivid feelings that stick with you. It's a haunting cover. Maynard's vocals on this are so poignant, so striking, especially when you get to the chorus, "You may say that I'm a dreamer." It just feels like a completely different track. I know I'm hearing the exact same lyrics. He didn't change any of the lyrics throughout the entire song. It's just so different.
Bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. Lick on these nuts and suck the dick. Get the fuck out, I feel you're dying. And I hops in my ride to make a quick run. I used to know a bitch named Eric Wright. We used to roll around and fuck the hoes at night.
Number one, of course, I had to pass the torch off to this one at number one because it's so incredibly different, but also comical, hilarious. Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, originally from The Chronic, "Bitches Ain't Shit." A very misogynistic song that, yes, as somebody who is not easily offended, I find it kind of offensive the way that it talks down to women so much. But then the Ben Folds cover came through, and it's seething with so much irony that how could you not love this? It's hysterical. Ben Folds started performing this song live in the mid-2000s, and he's done it as recently as the early 2010s. There's a studio version as well. Ben Folds is singing and almost kind of slow rapping, talking on this one. His drummer chimes in as well for Snoop Dogg's verse. It's so funny and also just something that feels mischievous because, yes, it translates it word for word. Somebody could see that as problematic because of some of the words that are said, but again, it's a cover and they're just taking the original songs and putting out in their own format. The light drumming on this makes it feel like almost elevator music, and I know that's done intentionally so, the way that it was arranged. And also Ben Folds' vocal harmonies and the backing vocals on this track, and overall, the way that he kind of pushes it out like an emo white boy that's having first world problems. Some of the lines that he spouts out, because they are line for line the original, like "bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks, lick on the nuts and suck the dick." It's just like, oh my god. How am I sitting here not busting out a laugh, a belly laugh at that? That's it for this episode of 7 on Sunday, guys. I highly recommend that you go check out these covers if you've never heard them before, because there's some fantastic and also funny ones in here that totally changed the original meanings of the songs. I would love to know what was your favorite out of the 7 that I selected, and also what would you add to the list? Join the conversation in the comment section down below, and don't forget to drop a like on the video while you're here. A like does go a long way, and it shows me that you're interested in seeing more of this, a part 2 in the future. Thank you for supporting 7 on Sunday. If you want to check out more episodes, then tap this card here, or tap here for another recent video. If you would like to help support the channel on Patreon, then hit the top link down below, or else the annotation in the corner. Thank you to all my $50 a month patrons, and I'll see you very soon right here on ARTV.